If at any part of this video I look like I'm visibly uncomfortable or something, I apologize, but a laptop fell on my foot and it really hurts, so now I've got it iced. It hurts really bad. Either way, I wasn't really sure I was going to talk about this, but it kind of got to me and I really felt like I wanted to, so that's why I'm going to be making this video. Before I do, I am going to give a shout out to an album I just recently listened to that I thought deserved your attention. I tend to like to do this if I find an album excellent or awful, so that when my year-end list comes out, you guys aren't confused like, why didn't you review it? But that album is the 100 gecs album 1000 gecs. This record is perhaps one of the most exhilarating times that I've ever had with an album, and I'm sure it's a polarizing record because it's just a bunch of sounds thrown together in a way that happens to be melodic. But oddly, despite the goofiness and all the super blown up production, I think that makes it really fascinating because this album still has great melodies all throughout it. It's super catchy and it's super intoxicating, and I definitely thought you guys should give it a shot. It would have gotten an excellent if I had reviewed it. Just wanted to shout it out because I thought it would be worth your time. Now on to the topic at hand. This is the first in what may or may not become a regular series that I call Album Talk, where it's not necessarily a review of an album or a reaction to an album, but rather just something where I want to talk about a certain album. Basically, this will be a series for when there's an album that brings up a conversation that I think is more interesting than the contents of the record. Like maybe the music isn't all that interesting or worth listening to, but there's a bigger picture thing regarding this album that I feel needs to be brought up. And what better time to do that than with this record right here, the latest posthumous XXXTentacion record, the Deluxe Edition of ? XXXTentacion I probably don't really need to introduce at this point. He's become such a big figurehead in hip-hop and one that was a rising star of the emo rap scene before his tragic and untimely murder in June of 2018. Also a very polarizing figure just as a human being because of his often controversial tweets and the fact that, of course, he had that domestic abuse case against him for a while. That said, XXXTentacion is someone whose name has continued to come up so many times ever since his death, in seemingly a way that's supposed to keep his legacy alive and make sure that his name never dies. For better and for worse, because this is the third posthumous release that has had XXXTentacion's name attached to it. First we had Skins, which was his own album, Members Only Volume 4, and now we have this, and apparently even this isn't it, because Bad Vibes Forever is still supposed to be coming out at some point this year. And you know, I would get it if X happened to have a lot of stuff in his backlog that you could conceivably make into solid, complete, concise tracks, but instead, when I heard Skins, it just sounded like a record label fishing for whatever they can find to string together some kind of album that they could make a bunch of streams off of, get a bunch of money from, and just kind of make money off of his name. Like maybe I would feel a little bit better about these posthumous XXXTentacion albums if maybe the money from them was being donated to a charity, or if the money was being put to something of that regard. But instead, it seems like it's just going straight into the wallet of his mother and the wallet of the greedy executives at his label that continue to put his name onto everything that they could just so they could get streams off of it. And I wanted to talk about it with this album because I feel like this record is perhaps the biggest offender to this case. As I said, it's the Deluxe Edition to his 2018 album ? Which, I'll be honest, I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. I was very in between on it. It had some great highs, but some pretty bad lows. But either way, they've been promising a Deluxe Edition, and what did we get out of the Deluxe Edition? A 2-hour-long 53-track epic divided into 3 discs. The first disc is naturally the original album in its original 18-track form. Disc 2 is all of the instrumentals from the album. Okay, I guess. And then disc 3, oh boy, that's the biggest offender for all of this, is just a mishmash of a bunch of weird tracks. There is a tribute track performed by Yoko Shimomura, who composed the Kingdom Hearts soundtrack, soundtrack. Admittedly, that's kind of cool. There's a freestyle of a track that he previously released, a weird 1 minute long track of X playing the drums, an acoustic version of another song that he previously put out, a remix of something he released in 2017 that now features Rico Nasty on it, the 2017 A Ghetto Christmas Carol EP that was already on streaming services as far as I know, and then the icing on the shit cake that is this terrible, abhorrent idea for a deluxe record is that the last 8 tracks are voice memos. His label was literally digging for whatever they could find that they literally just took voice memos from his phone. I'd be okay with these being public if, oh, I don't know, they were like leaked to Twitter or some shit, but when you put them on an album like this, that tells me exactly what you're trying to do, which is make money off of this shit that maybe X didn't want public. And honestly, right from the cover art, which is just a picture of X as a baby, it tells me all that I need to know. This is gonna be some sympathy gaining, stream gaming, really annoying record that really only exists so that his record label can just make money off of his name while further desecrating whatever legacy that he left. And again, I feel like I should make this disclaimer. Obviously, I don't blame X for this. I don't think there was a clause in his contract that said, we are going to release everything that you have ever said and created after you die. But it's just annoying because this is the 3rd time this has been done. There have been a bunch of times where artists have just been scrapping X leftovers. Just random hooks that he may have had, a few verses he probably spat, but now it's so abhorrent that they're stooping to the level of putting a track where he's playing the drums and 8 voice memos. When is it gonna end? When are we gonna get to a point where people decide, you know what? This is dumb. It's clear to me the record only exists to appease X's fans and give them another reason to post "Long Live Jose" on every single social media account they have, without even thinking about the fact that some greedy record exec is making money off of this bullshit. Can the man rest in peace? Cause look, I'm gonna be honest, X was not a saint. Regardless of where you stand on the domestic abuse stuff, X was not a saint. And I'm not gonna act like he was a perfect person. I'm not going to white knight or do anything like that, but not even he deserves to have this shit happening to him. It's almost to the point right now that his record label is basically going to wherever he was buried or wherever his body is kept, taking the body out and just literally peeing on his lifeless corpse. This deluxe edition to me is a record label pissing on a dead man's corpse. And again, it's not the first time that they've gone through the act of pissing on a dead man's corpse, because this has been happening so much with X in the past. The man has only been dead for a little over a year and we've already gotten 3 posthumous albums with a 4th on the way, that now we're digging for these voice memos just to fill up a runtime. How much longer are they gonna cash in on this dead man's legacy, and how much longer are his fans going to eat it up until they realize this is scummy? It's just so frustrating. Like, I'm not even a fan of X's music, but this is just annoying. How much longer is it gonna go on? I get it. You want to keep his legacy alive. You want to make sure that people continue to listen to him for years and years and years. But honestly, if X did have a huge legacy when he left, releasing these shoddy, half-hearted, posthumous records with a bunch of just random shit thrown together is not going to add to his legacy. It's only going to look worse because eventually people are going to get tired of hearing these half-hearted snippets thrown together and bloated out just to fill a runtime, and they're going to think, wow, this all would have been better if X's label just stopped. Like, maybe Skin's okay, I get it, he was working on that. But this is stuff that, as far as I know, was just random shit laying around. I think I saw someone joke about this, and I agree. Sooner or later, a posthumous X record is gonna have an audio recording of his first day of school, or him just kind of rambling aimlessly while he's taking a shit or something like that. So I guess the big question that I have with this is, why do people keep eating it up? I think the answer might just be easy, and it might just be people miss X and they want more stuff. But are we not tired of this yet? Are we not tired of a greedy record label just trying to cash in on him by throwing shit like this on a streaming service? Like, how much longer is it gonna go on for? And I guess my other question is, when is it appropriate to have posthumous records? Like, recently someone had requested that I look at the latest Avicii record, and I didn't review it, but I gave it a listen. And at the very least with that record, at least the money that was made off of it was donated to a foundation. As I said, it seems like whatever money this makes, it's just going right into a greedy business person's pocket or the pocket of his mother, who I'm surprised is letting the label just so freely capitalize on his death. Like, if X was really a legend, and I'm not exactly sure if I would call him that, I almost feel like the record label to me is trying to make him less of a legend by just releasing this shit. Like, they're personally desecrating his legacy in these abhorrent, half-hearted attempts to keep making money off of him. And even as someone that doesn't like his music all that much and wasn't really that crazy about him before, it's still annoying to see that this is what's happening. Like, personally, I know people are gonna say, you didn't listen to it. Well, I don't want to listen to it because I hate what it stands for. The whole point of this series that I'm trying to work with is, sure, I might not listen to the records I'm talking about, but again, the conversations they create are more interesting than the records themselves. Having actually heard that track where he plays the drums, I'd much rather try to figure out why his label is doing this than hear that song again. So again, the big question is, how long is this gonna go on for? How much longer are we gonna keep getting these posthumous albums and just kind of blindly accepting them without realizing, this is shady? It's just frustrating at this point. I'm sure there are some people that had their hearts in the right place when it came to assembling some of this stuff. Again, I'm sure the Yoko Shimomura track is probably fantastic because Yoko Shimomura is a fantastic composer. But God, we're really that desperate that we're putting voice memos from X on Spotify just to make money off of him? It's just gross. It really needs to stop. But that's just my opinion on all of this. What do you think of this fiasco? Are you just as upset as I am that his legacy is being desecrated by all of this? Or is it something where you're totally okay with it just because you want to hear more X, regardless of how unsubstantial it is? And for that matter, what the hell are they gonna do with Bad Vibes Forever? That's another question I want to ask you guys. What the hell do you think they're even gonna do with it? Again, when Skins released, it was only 10 tracks. I can't really see Bad Vibes Forever being that long, given that they're already scraping the bottom of the barrel. Either way, those are some of my questions. You can sound off in the comment section. Let's try to keep this civil and have some fun. I know I've heard a lot of stuff about XXXTentacion's fans. I want to reaffirm I'm not blaming X for any of this. I just think this is annoying and it's such a stupid cash grab, and I felt like I needed to talk about it. So let's again just try to keep it civil in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this whole fiasco and if this deluxe edition is as annoying to you as it is to me. If you want to hit like and subscribe, thank you. If not, you guys know I don't beg for this and I'm not going to, so I understand if you don't want to. As for what's next, I don't really know. I haven't really been keeping up with a bunch of new album releases. I do know that the new Kanye record is dropping this month, so I will definitely give that a listen when it drops. So stay tuned for that, but until then, thank you guys for watching and I will see you in the next video. Peace.